Hello and a very good morning. You're watching the breakfast news on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are this morning's headlines. Government cancels Greenpeace India's FCRA license, stops NGOs from foreign fund inflow. Greenpeace says action won't deter its work. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley and RBI Governor Rajan in Turkey for two-day G20 finance ministers meet. India expresses concerns over recent currency devaluations ahead of meet. Father of the Syrian toddler washed ashore recounts horror of the ill-fated boat trip to Europe. The migrant crisis seems to be getting out of hand as Hungary is now using force to stop people from travelling through EU. Prime Minister Narendra Modi likely to attend last day of the RSS coordination meet. Reports say economic issues have been the focal point of discussion at the three-day event. And Wimbledon finalist Garbine Muguruza joins casualty list at the US Open as she loses in the longest match in the tournament's history. This even as other top seeds continue to struggle to get through to round 3. Our top focus on the bulletin this morning. The government has cancelled Greenpeace India's license that enables it to receive funds from abroad. The Home Ministry has cancelled the NGO's Foreign Contribution Regulations Act license on allegations of working against the economic progress of the country. Up to 30% of the NGO's operations cost is met by funds from outside. Today, the Delhi High Court will hear a case related to curbs on the NGO, and when the hearing comes up, the government is expected to inform the court of its decision. 5 months ago, the government had suspended Greenpeace India's license under FCRA for 180 days. It had also frozen 7 bank accounts of the organization. Reacting to the crackdown, Greenpeace India has said that it won't be deterred by the attempts to silence its campaign. The NGO also said that since most of its funding comes from Indian citizens, its work will continue. Moving on now, the two-day meeting of G20 finance ministers and central bank governors will begin in the Turkish capital of Ankara today. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley is attending the meet along with the RBI Governor Rajan. At the meet, the finance ministers of the group of 20 nations will take stock of the current global economic developments and challenges and also look at measures to address the issues. The meeting is expected to focus on the recent devaluation of major currencies. The repeated devaluation of the Chinese currency had a global impact, with stock markets crashing at almost all places. India has said that such a devaluation in emerging markets raises the risk of competitive devaluations. India's stand is that this is a major threat to the stability of the global economy, especially when the growth rates worldwide are sluggish. Arun Jaitley will also hold meetings with his counterparts from G20 countries on the sidelines of the meet. Well, ahead of Teachers' Day of September 5th, the President and Prime Minister will mark the day through various programs being held today. President Pranab Mukherjee will don the teacher's hat when he would teach history to senior students at the government school located inside the presidential estate. The initiative is part of the Delhi government's Be a Teacher scheme, under which it has invited achievers in different fields. President Mukherjee was a college teacher before joining politics in the late 1960s. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also celebrate Teachers' Day today. He will interact with students at Meenaksha Auditorium in New Delhi. 800 students and 60 teachers from various Delhi schools would participate in the event. Schools will also be organizing an interactive session with the Prime Minister on video conferencing mode from 9 different locations. The Prime Minister will also release a commemorative coin of 125 rupees denomination and a circulation coin of 10 rupees denomination in the honor of Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan. The event will also be attended by HRD Minister Smriti Irani. This will be the Prime Minister's such engagement with students after taking charge. 9 crore students had participated at the interaction last year. And we here at Rajya Sabha Television would like to wish all the teachers out there a very happy Teachers' Day. Moving on now, it is the last day of the 3-day RSS Conclave in Delhi. The Prime Minister is expected to attend the event on the concluding day today. On day 2, yesterday, a broad range of internal security issues, including those related to Jammu and Kashmir and the Naxal problem, were discussed. Home Minister Rajnath Singh and Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar attended the conclave when the security issues were being discussed. Other ministers, including HRD Minister Smriti Irani, party leaders and BJP Chief Amit Shah, also attended the conclave on its second day, which also discussed education and social issues. Here's a quick look now at what else is in store for us through the course of today in our segment, The Day Ahead. The Supreme Court will hear a public interest writ petition filed by social activist Harsh Mandar challenging the decision of the Maharashtra government and the National Investigation Agency to go soft on Hindu extremists accused in the 2008 Malegaon blast case. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj will address the valedictory session of the Global Hindu-Buddhist Initiative on Conflict Avoidance and Environment Consciousness. The two-day event is being organized by the Vivekananda International Foundation in collaboration with the International Buddhist Confederation and Tokyo Foundation. The Prime Minister addressed the conference on Thursday. Delhi Anti-Corruption Branch Chief Mukesh Meena will appear before a commission of inquiry formed by the AAP government to probe the alleged 100 crore rupees CNG fitness scam. The Arvind Kejriwal government had constituted the commission of inquiry in August to probe the alleged scam in which a number of officials of the previous Sheila Dikshit government were under the scanner. Moving on to poll-bound Bihar now, where the capital city, Patna, is awash with posters and hoardings put up by the political alliances led by the JDU and the BJP, hurling sarcastic retorts against each other. The voter, however, isn't impressed by the poster war that has sprung up in the state even before the Election Commission has come out with the dates. Here's more.
87% पुराना रीपैकेजिंग कर रहे हैं, कह रहे हैं पैकेज दे रहे हैं। जिन मुद्दों पर मुझे गालियां दे रहे थे, खुद को भी 2,70,000 करोड़ रुपए का पैकेज लेकर के आना पड़ा।
The Chief Minister and the Prime Minister leading their alliances from the front, trying to provide the tipping point for their surcharged campaigns for the Bihar Assembly elections. The war of words is not limited to the rallies and the press meets alone. The sharp exchanges are showing up on posters, banners and hoardings. All along the roads and roundabouts in the capital city, Patna. While posters of the JDU, RJD and Congress alliance appeal for another chance for Nitish Kumar, the BJP hoardings mock the Chief Minister's claim of good governance. In another set of posters and banners, while the BJP questions the Nitish-Lalu political partnership, the JDU and RJD take potshots at Modi's unfulfilled promises. But on the ground, the voter doesn't seem to be amused by the strident poster war.
जितने भी सरकार के पैसा जो इन्वेस्ट किया जा रहा है पोस्टल में, प्रचार में, हेन में, तेन में, विभिन्न प्रकार में, अगर ये जनता में अगर इसको इन्वेस्ट किया जाता तो जनता की भलाई होती।
जनता पर खर्च करना चाहिए जो एडवर्टाइज पर खर्च हो रहा है। जनता पर खर्च नहीं करके एडवर्टाइज पर खर्च किया जा रहा है।
नेता लोग के तो यही माने है कि किसी तरह अपना तरफ से झुकाव करें, लीगल अपना ही कर रहे हैं। सिंचाई पटवन करना चाहिए था, नहर निकालना चाहिए था।
The Election Commission is yet to announce the assembly election schedule, but neither coalition is ready to be left behind in sounding the bugle for the battle for the seat of power in Patna. Vishal Dahiya, Rajya Sabha TV, Patna.
And now on to news from the education front. Students can now apply for education loans from multiple banks through a single application. The government has launched an online portal that will connect students to various banks to avail education loans.
A single window to help students acquire bank loans for education. The online portal Vidya Lakshmi will allow students to apply at multiple banks besides offering them information on schemes and status of applications.
If anybody wanted to have any education loan, then he was supposed to go to the branch. Maybe that one branch manager may not be interested in fact in taking up any advance proposal, or he may not be having the adequate staff in fact to take care of his application. So then he was supposed to go to other bank, to other branches in fact. Now everything is online, so and moreover there is a scheme for the grievances also. He can view the status of his application online also.
The portal is also linked to the National Scholarship Portal for information on scholarships. So far, 15 banks have joined the portal that will eventually cover all state-run banks.
Education loans, they should spell out what is the rate of interest so that there may not be a interest rate differentiation, because that will not drive them to all the banks. The best thing is they can spell out the schemes of all the banks and try to bring out a common scheme detailing all the points that are normally spread out in the application forms.
Public sector banks saw a decline of 0.16% in education loans sanctioned till March 2014. They're expected to achieve 20% in educational loans and 15% in the number of accounts this fiscal. As of March 31st this year, there are 25 lakh education loan accounts with outstanding amount of 61,967 crore rupees. Anshu J6 report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, it's time now for a short break, but still to come. Top seeds continue to struggle in the US Open as they battle stifling weather conditions. That and much more on the other side. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Today we bring to you the Home Council Amendment Bill 2015.
There should be some provision to regulate the unchecked proliferation of the substandard institutions.
The central government here is trying to stop the admission process.
Why not stop the admissions there and then, the moment it is suggested by the CCH to the Ministry of Ayush?
Watch Law of the Land, Saturday at 6:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha television. Well, the migrant crisis in Europe is getting worse by the day. Thousands of refugees, mostly Syrians, remain stranded in Hungary amid a bitter standoff with the police. Meanwhile, the struggle among European leaders to develop a coherent response to the spiraling migrant crisis has intensified. Fresh calls for a bloc-wide plan are being met with recriminations about the continent being swamped with Muslims. Here's more.
This man in mourning is Abdullah Kurdi, the distraught father of the 3-year-old Syrian boy who's now become the face of the human tragedy in the worst migrant crisis in Europe. Waiting at a morgue in Turkey to collect the bodies of his 2 sons and wife, all of whom he lost on way to Greece, Abdullah recalls how the boat they were traveling in capsized.
أخذني هذا المهرب أخذني على النقطة بعد ساعة تقريبا عند واحد تركي ركبنا بالمركب 12 راكب صارت إلى المركب.
Like thousands of other Syrians fleeing violence in their country, Abdullah and his wife had set off for Europe in the hope of a better life for their 2 children, Alan and Ghalib. They had reportedly made a privately sponsored refugee application to Canada as well to stay with Abdullah's sister Tima, who is a Vancouver resident, but the request was rejected in June.
2 days ago, my brother texted me and said, "We are leaving right now." And it's 4 o'clock in the morning. No. 3 o'clock Turkish time, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning in Turkey time. So I passed the message to my dad in Syria, to my sister, everybody. Abdullah is leaving now. Pray for him for safety. And then we didn't hear from him. His phone was off.
Meanwhile, in Hungary, which has become the flashpoint of the migrant crisis, the standoff between police and the refugees continued into the night on Thursday. Thousands of migrants remained on a train at a small station in Hungary, refusing to disembark and travel to a nearby refugee center.
We are not animals, we are not criminals. We have right to cross this border. We are going to Germany. This is by our money. It's not help. It's not help. People, this is not help. This is by our money. We are going by our money.
Despite widespread condemnation, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban said his country is against taking in migrants who are predominantly Muslims, citing Hungarians' experience of Ottoman rule.
Mert azt gondoljuk, hogy minden országnak joga eldönteni, hogy kíván-e más, tegyük föl például nagyszámú muszlim közösségekkel együtt élni. Ez az ő joga, hogy eldöntse.
Amid global outrage over Europe's handling of the homeless migrants, pressure is also mounting on Britain to do more. The British Prime Minister, however, maintains taking in more migrants is not the solution.
There isn't a solution to this problem that's simply about taking people. We need a comprehensive solution, a new government in Libya. We need to deal with the problems in Syria. I would say the people responsible for these terrible scenes we see, the people most responsible are President Assad in Syria and the butchers of ISIL and the criminal gangs that are running this terrible trade in people. And we have to be as tough on them at the same time.
The United States of America has also pledged support to EU countries coping with the worst migrant crisis post the Second World War. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And joining me for a chat this morning to talk about the European migrant crisis is international affairs expert and senior journalist Kamar Aga. Mr. Aga, thank you so much for joining us on the program. You know, the situation only is getting grimmer by the day as far as the European migrant crisis is concerned. What is the solution really to the problem? Is the solution to let in these migrants into some of these European countries that they want to go into, or deal with the problem in their respective native lands?
You know, it needs both, you know, in the respective native lands as well as, you know, these migrants are marching, you know, they are out in millions, you know, from one country to another, and from there, from by sea, by land route, by everywhere they are trying to reach out. You see what is happening, the regime has failed, and they did not allow liberal secular to gain power. Arab Spring was suppressed. In the vacuum, militants have become very strong, you know. This is what they happen. And the second thing, you know, the Al-Qaeda or ISS, you know, they have now established their caliphate in Iraq and Syria. These are the two places, you know, where they are they're killing the men, kidnapping their women, and also at the same time, you know, they are recruiting their children, you know, to their own army. You know, this is the condition. It has become very difficult for the people to live in these countries. And the same thing, you know, is being done by all terrorist or militant organizations in different countries. Life is impossible to live in these countries. People are just marching out, just running out of these countries, you know. From North Africa to Middle East, both sides, you know, people are marching from Niger, Mali, Chad, to Nigeria, to Algeria. From there, Algeria to Sahara Desert, they are crossing by foot, and from there to Spain, and from Morocco, Spain, and then going to Europe, you know. Or the other route is via Turkey to Aegean Sea, and from Aegean Sea to Balkan region, you know. This is the condition, you know. The millions are on the march.
Indeed, millions are on the march, and the condition is extremely pathetic at the moment. But Mr. Raga, I mean, there seems to be no consensus within the European bloc itself. There are some countries who say that, you know, they are willing to take in a few migrants. There are some countries who say they do not want to be a part of it at all. So do you see any consensus being reached to deal with this bigger problem as such?
There is a talk now going on, you know, between the big leaders of especially between France, Britain, Germany. These are the countries, you know, who have come up openly. They are trying to find some solution to this, you know. But there is not yet any consensus on this. It will take very long to achieve this consensus. You know, there are two ways, you know. The Arab government should also come forward. The problem with the Arabs, they don't have experience in dealing with the humanitarian crisis, and they never had such a crisis before. Human rights organizations or the civil rights groups, you know, they are not very active in these countries. They don't. So these are the problems the people are confronting, you know. The militants is one side. The governments are also killing these people total chaos and anarchy is spreading in the whole region. Now the time has come, international community will have to act. And especially, I believe, the United Nations agencies.
Everyone's talking about how the Europeans and the United Nations and maybe even the United States needs to intervene and some action needs to be taken. But what, according to you, is going to be a long-term solution to the problem?
Long-term solution to the problem is suppression of this militancy. You cannot negotiate with these people. These are the people, they're killing innocent people. First they kill the Christians, the Shias, the Houthis, then they kill the Yazidis there, the Kurds. Now they're killing the Sunni brothers, their own Sunni brothers, who are not supporting them or who are not giving their children to for their organizations, So they're killing everybody, in that region. So there is a need, international coalition, regional coalition. They should, each and every country, is having problem with one another. Failed regimes are there. They're supporting many of these militants are backed by the different countries, Syria, we have seen what has happened in Syria, many countries in the Gulf region have given money and weapon to these countries. Then in Libya, what has happened, Libya also the same thing happened. Now two warring factions. Country has virtually divided into two, And I think the West also has a responsibility because they have not put enough pressure on their allies. Because most of these countries are allies of the Western nations. They have also supported moderate Islamic. There are no moderate or militant in these. I mean, all are. There are no good terrorists or bad terrorists, I believe. So everybody has to be suppressed. This movement has to be suppressed. There is a need for international coalition which should go liberate Iraq, Libya, Syria. These are the three countries, or conduct election, install duly elected representative government in these places. Only then, I mean, it's a long-term solution. There is no immediate. Immediate problem is this migration, It has to be dealt on humanitarian grounds, I think there's a need to build the whole cities for them, at the moment.
Sure,
because hundreds and thousands of camps, they were in the camps, in number of camps, where the situation has become very difficult to live in those camps. That is another problem, That's why they started moving from
problems
these camps
galore.
also.
Kamar Aga, thank you so much for joining us on the program and putting things into perspective for us and sharing your expertise on this particular subject. The immediate problem is to deal with the humanitarian crisis of the migrants, but the long-lasting problem is to deal with some of the militants in their native lands is what we've come to. Moving on now, of course, Saudi Arabia's king, Salman, will meet US President Barack Obama at the White House. This will be Salman's first visit to the US since ascending the throne in January and following his decision to skip a US summit of the Gulf Arab leaders that Obama hosted in May. The trip also comes less than 2 weeks before a possible US congressional vote on last month's landmark nuclear agreement between 6 world powers and Iran, Riyadh's regional rival, a deal that troubles the Saudi kingdom. There's a look now at what else is making news across the world in our World Wrap. Just hours after tendering his resignation as president of Guatemala, Otto Perez Molina was sent to jail. An arrest warrant was issued against him on Wednesday in connection with the corruption investigation that has shaken the government and sparked protests. Vice President Alejandro Maldonado has been sworn in as the caretaker president until fresh polls scheduled for Sunday. One person was killed and 2 others wounded in a shooting near a Sacramento Community College in California on Thursday. The police described the shooter as a male of Pacific Island descent and was wearing cargo short shirt. The shooting took place in a parking lot near a baseball field on the southern edge of the campus. The college has been placed on lockdown since then. An overloaded wooden boat believed to be carrying dozens of Indonesian illegal migrants or rather immigrants sank off the coast of Malaysia on Thursday. At least 14 people, out of which 13 were women, are reported to have died in the tragedy. The boat has left Sabah, Burman in Malaysia's Selangor state and was heading for Sumatra in Indonesia when the accident happened. Moving on to some sports news now. Day 4 of the US Open 2 witnessed a major upset. Wimbledon 2015 finalist, 9th-seeded Garbi Muguruza suffered a shock defeat by Britain's Johanna Konta in the longest women's match in US Open history. Meanwhile, in the men's draw, Andy Murray and Stan Wawrinka also struggled but dug deep to make it to the next round. Here's a roundup of all the action from day 4 at Flushing Meadows.
To face Petrovic.
The US Open witnessed a major upset on the 4th day. This time, Wimbledon 2015 finalist 9-seeded Garbine Muguruza followed the top seeds casualty list. Muguruza was beaten by Britain's Johanna Konta 7-6, 6-7, 6-2 in the longest women's match in US Open history that lasted for 3 hours and 23 minutes. Britain's Andy Murray fought hard to keep his US Open hopes intact. Murray came back from 2 sets down to beat Frenchman Adrian Manarino. The 3rd seed was in serious trouble before recovering to win 5-7, 4-6, 6-1, 6-3, 6-1 in stifling conditions at Flushing Meadows. He'll next face Brazilian 30th seed Thomas Bellucci in the 3rd round on Saturday.
Thankfully, in the 3rd set, I managed to grab a break point. I had a number in the 2nd set and in the 1st set. He was serving really well on some of the break points and I was missing a few returns, but it was an extremely tough match.
The top seeds, Roger Federer and Stan Wawrinka, also advanced to the 3rd round. 2nd seed Federer defeated Belgium's Steve Darcis 6-1, 6-2, 6-1 in straight sets. 5th seed Wawrinka was made to work hard for a place in the 3rd round. Wawrinka eased past Korean teenager Hyun Chung 7-6, 7-6, 7-6 in straight sets. The right-hander led Wawrinka by a break in the 2nd set and had a set point in the 3rd set tie-break, but was denied as Wawrinka clinched victory in just over 3 hours.
Really tough match. Happy to get through, especially in 3 sets. More than 3 hours was a tough battle on the court today. It's really hot and humid, so never easy.
In the women's draw, top seeds advanced to the 3rd round of the US Open. Number 2 Halep continues to cruise through her matches, defeating Katerina Bondarenko 6-3, 6-4. Halep won her first match in just 47 minutes on Tuesday and finished off the Ukrainian in 77 minutes to advance to the 3rd round. Petra Kvitova also cruised into the US Open 3rd round with straight sets win over Nicole Gibbs. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Let's now get you some other sports news in our sports beat. The Indo-Spanish pair of Leander Paes and Fernando Verdasco entered the 2nd round of the men's doubles at the US Open. The duo defeated German pair of Florian Mayer and Frank Moser 6-2, 6-3. In the women's draw, top-seeded pair of Sania Mirza and Martina Hingis advanced to the 2nd round after beating Sabrina Santamaria and Kathleen Christian of the United States 6-1, 6-2. A stuttering England batting display handed Australia a 59-run victory at Southampton in the first game of the 5-match one-day series. Adil Rashid's 4 for 59 reduced the Aussies to 193 for 6, but Matthew Wade made 71 not out and he added 112 runs with Mitchell Marsh to help the tourists post 305. In reply, England lost 3 wickets in 4 bowls and their last 7 for 94 runs before being bowled out with 4 overs to spare. Gareth Bale's late header gave Wales a 1-0 victory over Cyprus to put them on the brink of qualifying for Euro 2016. Wales midfielder David Edwards had a goal disallowed and Neil Taylor wasted a fine chance as a full-blooded first half ended goalless. Wales remain unbeaten and 3 points clear at the top of Group B. Also, a victory against Israel on Sunday will cease qualification and end a 57-year wait for an appearance at a major tournament. Iceland are on the verge of their first major championship finals after a controversial Gylfi Sigurdsson penalty earned a shock 1-0 Euro 2016 qualifying victory over 10-man Netherlands. The referee awarded the spot kick in the 51st minute, even though Gregory van der Weyl seemed to win the ball in a challenge with Birkir Brunson, and Sigurdsson squeezed his effort under goalkeeper Jasper Cillessen. Iceland can book a place at Euro 2016 by scoring a home win over Kazakhstan on Sunday. That's it on this edition of the Bulletin. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day.